Good evening, everyone. The Durham Public Schools Board of Education special meeting session is now in session. At this time, we wish to extend a warm welcome to everyone who is joining us this evening. The purpose of this meeting is to inform our parents, staff, and constituents about the work aligned with our mission to embrace, educate, and empower every student to innovate, serve, and lead. Tonight, the administration will be presenting information on Durham School of the Arts report and cost analysis. The interpreters for tonight are Martha Romo Gillis and Vanessa Pina Ramirez. Thank you for taking time to join us tonight. First item on our agenda is a moment of silence. Thank you. Colleagues, our agenda is up for review.
Move approval of the agenda as presented. Second.
It's been moved by Ms. Byers, seconded by Ms. Carter Otten to approve our agenda. Is there any discussion? All those in favor, say aye.
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 All opposed, say no. Our agenda is approved unanimously. Thank you. The next item on our agenda is consent items.
Move approval of the consent agenda.
Second.
Thank you. It's been moved by Ms. Byers, seconded by Mr. Tab to approve the consent agenda items. Is there any discussion? All those in favor, say aye.
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 All those opposed, say no. The consent agenda has passed unanimously. The next item on our agenda is Operation Services. Presentation from about Durham School of Arts report cost analysis in accordance with North Carolina Statute 115C-72 and 115C-521C.
Great. Good evening or good afternoon, board members, Superintendent Moore. Our team is here to present a school closure study and cost analysis associated with the Durham School of the Arts. These two items are to ensure that Durham Public Schools is in compliance with state statutes related to school construction and closing of existing schools. I do want to clarify that in this case, quote, closing a school, what we mean is that we're building a new school that Durham School of the Arts students will attend once it's completed. There are two state statutes, as was just mentioned, that we're going to be covering tonight. The first is 115C-72. This statute requires that if a district is looking to consolidate or close a school, a study must be conducted that considers a variety of factors, such as geographic conditions, enrollment levels, impact on students, costs, and any other factors that are deemed germane. Following the completion of the study and the presentation of the study, which is what we will be doing this evening, the statute calls for the Board of Education to hold a public hearing. As you know, that's also scheduled for this evening. Following the public hearing, the board may then take action on whether to close a school. Tonight, we'll be presenting the study, as I just mentioned, and the board will be public hearing to receive comments from the public. The agenda for August 8th would be when we would be bringing an agenda item related to the board taking action that evening regarding Durham School of the Arts. The second state statute that we're dealing with and discussing this evening is 115C-521. This statute requires a cost feasibility analysis to be created and shared with DPI, the Department of Public Instruction, that compares the cost of building a new school versus renovating existing facilities. The Department of Public Instruction requires an apples to apples approach. And so our cost analysis compares the cost of building a new Durham School of the Arts with that of renovating the existing campus to support the same programming, the same capacity, and the same types of instructional spaces. There's no action that you need to take with respect to the cost analysis. Rather, we wanted you to know what we submitted to the Department of Public Instruction. In a moment, Matthew Palmer is going to go through our school closure study. A lot of the information that we're going to be presenting this evening is based on prior work and prior studies that have been publicly presented multiple times on multiple occasions that ultimately, as you know, led to a comprehensive bond education campaign, which resulted in the community's passage of the 2022 bond, which included building a new Durham School of the Arts. With that, I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Palmer to share our presentation.
Thank you, Dr. LaFreeze, Superintendent Moore, Chair Rogers, Vice Chair Carter Otten, and members of the Durham Public Schools Board of Education. It's a pleasure to be here with you this evening. We will go through the artifacts that have been produced in commensurate with state of North Carolina legislation. Again, I want to reiterate the remarks from Dr. LaFreeze that we are building a new Durham School of the Arts. We are not closing the existing one. However, procedurally, we're going to walk through that just so that we can be in accordance with the requests from administration. Next slide, please. So a project timeline will recap where we've been since 2021. We will review a Durham School of the Arts report analyzing the existing facility, looking at feasibility on campus. We will then go through a fiscal analysis that compares a renovation of that existing campus and apples to apples with the program at the new site there at Duke Homestead Road, and review with the board next steps. Next slide, please. So in October 2021, NEMA Construction Management, who was contracted with the Durham Public Schools Board of Education, reviewed the feasibility of what it would take to renovate Durham School of the Arts on site. In January of 2022, an RFQ was issued, again, looking at what it would take to construct a new facility. The selection of a design firm in March of 2022, commensurate with that, project development meetings, meeting extensively with Durham School of the Arts administration, leadership, teachers, and community members throughout Durham regarding Durham School of the Arts in its current site, as well as what is envisioned for the future of DSA. With approval of the board in December 2023, that then has led us down the road of the GMP packages that continue on through August of 2024. Next slide, please. So with regards to the existing Durham School of the Arts site, resetting the board that the site itself is over 100 years old. This is 8 total buildings that we have at 400 North Duke Street. This is on Business 15501, which constitutes 2 unidirectional roads that bracket the DSA site, 400 North Duke Street, on the east and west side. The academic program is a performing arts magnet school, grades 6 through 12. Currently, the capacity of the school is 1,480 students if we account for teacher planning periods. However, as it is administered today, in order to maximize the number of students that it can afford, with 100% utilization, and what that means is that during teacher planning periods, staff are doing planning in janitor's closets. Every room is used every minute of the day, right? That brings us to 1,655. However, the 23-24 enrollment of DSA is all the way at 1,850. So you can appreciate why the current campus has severe constraints with regards to its enrollment capacity, or what we would call utilization. Again, for student assignment to DSA, it is 100% pure lottery. That means we do not have an entrance performance requirement. There is no weighting of the lottery currently, and there is no spatial prioritization. No matter where in Durham School of the Arts is, students are equally eligible to apply. So from the perspective of a geographic prioritization, there is none that applies to Durham School of the Arts in its current location at 400 North Duke Street. Next slide, please. So here we walk the board, and in our packet, again, this is summarizing what we have called a closure report, so as to, again, conform to the request to produce the report. We've gone through the facility conditions. In its current state, DSA was the highest FCI or facility conditions index in all of Durham Public Schools at 0.74. What that means is that as we approach 1, it is warrantable and important that the board and the community consider replacement as the cost of renovations continue to escalate. Again, if you look at the 2019 facility conditions assessment produced by the Cumming report, you will see DSA is the highest FCI in Durham Public Schools. In addition, being over-enrolled in its current constitution, again, 1,850 students on a campus that can support up to 1,480. That impacts not only the seats, that impacts the core capacity. That has to do with things like the amount of cars that you can store on the site, the number of lunch periods you have to afford students so that you can service all of the students that are on the site. When we talk about capacity, it's not just seats. Is the campus designed to support the students that are on the campus itself? With regards to safety and security and accessibility, there are 68 external doors on the DSA campus across 8 buildings. We realize, and it has been documented both by the board, administration, and the public, that has led to safety and security issues for the staff and students on the DSA site being located in the heart of the central business district, again, on Business 15501. 68 doors that need monitoring and safety mechanisms, and 69 stairwells, ramps, and access points that currently will need to be upfit for ADA compliance as we look at this. Again, for geographic conditions, let me reiterate, Durham Public Schools is 100% lottery assignment. That means there is no spatial prioritization for any neighborhood resident. Any student across the district is equally weighted in the application to the school. So we would say that is an aspatial or non-geographic student assignment in any way. Part of the closure study does illustrate that there is not a spatial lens to DSA, no matter its location. Having said that, of the 1,850 students, the majority of those students arrive by car every day. Of those car riders, again, 1,000 car riders, we can hold 13 on the campus. The NEMA study that we've included in the board packet for a reminder for the board illustrates what that means for the surrounding neighborhoods and central business district, including the congregations near the school. As we see that, we see traffic spilling over NC 147, the Durham Highway, as well as along the arterials in and around the central business core. 13 cars are stored on site as pickup and drop off occurs in the morning and afternoon during AM and PM peak rush hour traffic. With regards to transit ridership and transit accessibility, DSA is our lowest participating transit ridership school of our large schools. Again, those schools that are 1,000 students or larger. So though it is near the Durham station, actual transit ridership to DSA is actually quite low. And lastly, I would point out for the board and the administration and the public that the majority of students that attend DSA are coming from the northern region and the eastern regions of Durham County. So many of those students are having long rides to get to that central business district. With regards to feasibility, NEMA has reviewed this again in 2021. We've included that in the board packet for the board to be reminded. A 7-year phased-in occupied construction project will require us to significantly lower the enrollment at the school as we reconstitute those buildings in any version of a renovation on campus. In addition, the academic program calls for cohorts of 100 students in each team, 2 teams at the middle school level, and then that leads into our high school population. With the DSA administration, as well as the DPS administration, it's been identified that to have a 6-12 performing arts school optimally would be 2,000 students, particularly as this is a district-wide 100% lottery school. So we name that in regards to the feasibility and concerns that we have with regards to can DSA be renovated even if we were to have all of these issues addressed. There are major constraints on the current site, particularly for a 2,000 seat school. Next slide, please. This is an illustration of what those doors look like, as we need to secure, monitor, and ensure that our students and staff are safe within the central business district of Durham. Again, roughly 2 blocks east of the Duke East Campus. In addition, 69 stairs and ramps that will be needed to navigate for anyone that may have mobility impairments. Next slide, please. This is the modeling that NEMA has done in 2021 with regards to traffic congestion and in particular, the overflow of queuing commensurate with morning and afternoon drop-off and pickup. That traffic queuing is spilling along Main Street and Business 15501 in both directions. I have personally watched as parents have stopped in the middle of Business 15501 to unload their child because they did not want to wait through the queue. This is a major transportation safety issue. Next slide, please. With that, I'll ask Ms. Kimberly Williams with Kate Services and DPS to walk through the fiscal analysis comparing new construction with renovation on site. Ms. Williams?
Good evening, everyone. As Mr. Palmer said, I'm Kimberly Williams. I am the Executive Director for the Bond Program with Kate Services for Durham Public Schools. Per NCDPI, we were asked to do an apples to apples cost comparison. And so what we did was we took the cost and the design for the new DSA and placed that on the existing campus of DSA. And so the new DSA is estimated at the 60% design to cost $213,492,591. Now, luckily, we've been coming in, our GMP packages have been coming in lower, so we're excited about that. But again, we took that exact same building and place that on the existing DSA site. So we're not changing anything. But there are certain things that have to happen in order for us to fit the newly designed building on the existing campus. So you'll see in the second column, the improvements or changes that would have to be made to the existing site. And it's approximately about $56 million in addition to that $213 million, which brings us to $269,439,861. Again, this was an apples to apples comparison per NCDPI. These cost comparisons were created through the assistance of our CM at Risk, as well as the historic costs from projects that have been recently completed by DPS, as well as our project management team. With that, I will turn it back over to Dr. LaFreeze. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Palmer. Thank you, Ms. Williams. Just a little bit more information on this particular slide. Again, this is the apples to apples comparison that DPI asked us to do. When you look at the numbers on the right side, that is if we were able to actually construct it today. Like if the design for this is all ready to go, which we know a design process is at least 18 months plus the permitting process and so forth. And so this is comparing a professional cost estimate, which is part of the current construction program through our construction manager, with those additional costs if we were to, in essence, drop the school on the DSA existing site. Doesn't factor in cost inflation, the fact that in all likelihood, if we went a different direction, you're looking at significant inflation over the next 2 to 3 years before anything could actually proceed. Plus, you have sunk costs in the existing new school. You have a comprehensive design. You have contracts with the construction manager, and all of that is obviously underway and moving forward. On the next slide, it discusses our next steps. Again, tonight was, or this evening was the presentation, and followed by a public hearing. And then we would be bringing an agenda item to you on the work session on August 8th. With that, that concludes our presentation. Board members have questions. Our team's here to provide answers. And I'll turn it back over to the chair.
Thank you so much, Dr. LaFreeze, Mr. Palmer, and Ms. Williams. We appreciate this presentation. Colleagues, any questions? Any comments? Ms. Chavez?
Thank you for this presentation. I have one question. My apologies for not getting it to you ahead of time. Can you just speak to the comparison with around physical disability access with the new site compared to what we saw with the current site?
Want to cover that?
So are you asking in terms of ADA?
I guess ADA, but any additional things that would be put into place that would address what we're seeing here with the many ramps and stairs and just maybe all of our buildings are ADA compliant, but facilitating even more so the access that our students might need or visitors.
So the new building is being designed to absolutely address ADA. There will be ramps, there will be elevators, there will be push buttons so that the doors will be easily opened. Those things are being designed. They are also being incorporated into our legs document. There have been meetings even before the design started where the designer went through existing DSA and discussed with the staff and the principal and even small groups of the students in terms of what improvements should be made. So as we have gone along throughout this project, they have been addressed. And even prior to the school being built, each department, even the smallest things, IT, CE, we will go, CI, I'm sorry, Mr. Palmer's group, we will go back through and have each of those departments look and tell us what additional improvements need to be made. Did we miss anything? So ADA will absolutely be addressed instead of things that you may see in existing DSA, such as doorknobs that some individuals with disabilities cannot grip and turn. You'll see levers that will be easier for someone with a disability to pull down and pull forward or push. So those types of things will absolutely be addressed in the new building.
Just on that note, just to confirm, the new school will be fully compliant with ADA accessibility requirements. And it's being built to all current code expectations with respect to the same.
Thank you.
I have a
Mr.
question.
Tab?
Thank you. Thank you. In doing your apples to apples comparison, what was the driving force that went from 213 to 269? Since it was an apple to apple comparison, what drove it to that higher?
So if you look at the column to the far left, there were things that we had to address. And one of those things was a parking deck, because we'd have to accommodate parking. And so looking at a parking deck, we'd have to buy additional land and construct a parking deck. We're dealing with the new school has a baseball field. The existing school does not. We'd have to take the tennis courts out to incorporate a baseball field. Just a couple of other things we'd have to address, as Mr. Palmer talked about, the traffic. NCDOT would require us to do a traffic management plan and make improvements. So if you're looking at that column, that's the list and the detail of the other things that lead to that $56 million increase. So there's additional water and sewer, dumpster enclosures, ADA ramps and railings, landscaping, site lighting, fees, permits, testing.
In essence, that right column with all of those figures in it, those are all things that would need to happen to the existing site if we were to build the school as designed on that site.
That's, as Dr. LaFree said, that's as of today. 2 years from now, these prices could be something completely different.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Colleagues, any other questions? Thank you all for this presentation. We'll now turn to the next portion of our agenda, which is the public hearing in accordance with North Carolina Statute 115C-72. I'm going to take a second and read the rules for public comments. Submitted public comments will be read aloud during the public comment period, and board members will listen carefully and consider the comments. Quick review of the rules. First, please state your name. If speaking for an organization, please state your name and the name of the organization. Second, speakers are asked to present their comments in 3 minutes. When the yellow light comes on, you have 1 minute left to start winding up your remarks. When the red light comes on, it will beep, which indicates your time is up. Complaints about named staff, students, or parents should not be voiced in open session. However, we're very interested in hearing your concerns with regard to public education, the safety of our students, or the operation of our school system. Finally, the board members will listen carefully and consider the comments, but we do not engage in discussion with speakers. We have 6 speakers tonight. And I'm going to mispronounce names. Please correct me when you come to the podium. Suman Bajgan, followed by Jane Wheeler.
Good evening, everybody. I am Suman Basgai, a DPS parent with a stepchild heading into DSA next year. Like many of you, I am deeply invested in ensuring the best possible learning environment for our children. I am grateful for the opportunity to share my perspective on the upcoming move of our school to a new location. The decision to relocate our school from its current downtown location to a new site is a decision that I wholeheartedly support. This move is not just about finding a new space, it is also about investing in the future of our children and providing them with the resources that they need to thrive. Firstly, the current downtown building, while historic, poses several challenges that cannot be ignored. It is over 100 years old, and renovating it would come at an exorbitant cost that could be better allocated towards enhancing our children's educational experiences for now and for the future. Moving to a new building allows us to create state-of-the-art facilities that will support modern teaching methods and technology, providing our children with the tools that they need to succeed in today's digital world. Accessibility is another important consideration. While some might argue that the downtown location is more accessible, we must recognize that our school operates on a lottery system. This means that only a few students, primarily from affluent families who actually have residents near downtown, can actually walk to school due to the expensive real estate in downtown. For many families, including my own, commuting to the current location has been a logistical challenge, exacerbated by the congested car lines during drop-off and pickup times. By moving to a new location, we have the opportunity to alleviate these traffic concerns and create a safer, more efficient environment for our children. With this relocation, I can imagine a school where parents can drop off their children without the stress of having to navigate these cramped streets with limited parking. I can imagine classrooms equipped with modern amenities and bigger outdoor spaces where our children can learn and play in a safe and supportive environment. Moreover, the relocation will also allow DSA to increase its class size, either immediately or in the future, allowing more students to attend this esteemed school. I'm sure this will alleviate the concerns of many parents who want their students to get into DSA, but are discouraged by the current odds of getting in through lottery. This relocation will increase, hopefully, the odds of our children getting into DSA. As a parent whose stepchild will be attending this school next year, I am thrilled about the move to a new location. I know it won't happen immediately, but still I'm thrilled. In conclusion, I urge you all to join me in embracing this new exciting chapter for our school. Let us come together to support our administrators and our educators as they work tirelessly to provide our children with the best possible educational experience. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Jane Wheeler, followed by Julia Borbley Brown.
Hello, my name is Jane Wheeler. I am a retired teacher in the Durham Public Schools. I am also a member of the Durham for DSA group. With all due respect to the presenters, if I had received these reports on DSA school closure study and cost analysis study from my students, they would have earned at best a D. D for deficient in looking at all of the important issues at stake here. D for fluff and no stuff. The color coding on the visuals suggests a particular outcome, while the words on the visuals and in the reports are ambiguous and misleading. Regarding the facility condition index, the 0.74 is less than 3/4 of the way to 1. I'm darn near 3/4 of the way to 100. Are you going to get rid of me? These are many more years of use. There are many more years of useful life left in this building, as there is in me. As suggested by your facility master plan, which includes reuse of this building as admin space or a learning environment. It will need to be renovated for either of these reuses. Renovation of the old building then must be included in budgetary costs for the school system. And as this old building is so useful as a learning environment, then its renovations should serve the School of the Arts. Regarding welfare of students, nowhere does it address the advantages to the students and families of DSA to remain in the heart of the art culture downtown. DSA parents, students, and teachers want to keep, many of them, want to keep and renovate the old DSA, and all of the issues mentioned can be fixed and alleviated and remedied and rectified. Where is a survey reflecting their wishes and needs? Likewise, where is a study of the impact on the North Durham neighborhoods and the ditch-lined roads that are not built for the extra traffic? Regarding school bus transportation, ride times cannot possibly be shorter for students by moving DSA out of its central location. Where is this study? North Durham is a shorter ride only for those living in North Durham. This did not serve the welfare or needs of students living in downtown or in the sprawling areas of Southern Durham. Where is the community option that Durham for DSA prepared for you? That should be your basis for comparison. The community option will transform DSA and save over $50 million, allowing at least 2 elementary schools from the 2022 bond issue to be renovated. Renovated that would otherwise be deferred. Student numbers are decreasing, so building a new school is throwing away our hard-earned money. Environmental impact is less to renovate than to build new. Please be good stewards of our money and our environment and renovate for a DSA stay. Please reconsider now. Thank you.
Followed by Julia Borbley Brown, we'll have Bolin Willis.
Good afternoon. My name is Julia Borbley Brown, and I'm speaking on behalf of Durham for DSA, a nonprofit corporation recently organized. And I have 2 points to make. One is that I challenge whether this is indeed a public hearing because there has been insufficient public notice. I learned today that the PTSA at DSA was not informed about this. And I believe the school system has many ways to reach people in the community. There are many avenues. And I do not think there has been sufficient notice of this meeting today. I would ask you, if I am wrong about that, to communicate with me, to tell me what steps you did take to notify the public. And the second thing, as Jane has alluded to, is that Durham for DSA believes that outdated information, financial information, is being used to make the comparison. And one final point that I would make is that if you are going to use the current DSA site for any purpose, there will be involvement of the state and the State's Historic Commission, and a public hearing will need to be held on that. So there's only one aspect of public involvement that you have tried to address this evening. Thank you.
Thank you. Roland Willis, followed by Brian Calloway.
Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Bolin Willis. I am the director and founder of Durham School for Ballet and the Performing Arts. Hi, Mr. Tabb. So I have concerns as a business owner. Not the majority of my students at the school, but many of the students at my studio come from Durham School of the Arts. It's in fact why I located my business where I located my business, also because at the time it was cheap and bullets were coming through the ceiling. So that's no longer true. However, it made a difference to where I set up my business. And there are other businesses, lots of other businesses now in what is referred to in our neck of the woods as the warehouse district that are going to be affected if this school moves. And pardon me, Mr. Palmer, but you're acting like the downtown business district is the Wild West. It is not. 20 years ago, when I started my studio, it was a little sketchy. Now I can barely afford to live where I live. So I get your remarks. I understand it is expensive to live there, but it is not the Wild West. And based on where I'm seeing you talk about putting DSA
Ms.
now.
Willis, can I ask you to address the board?
Yes, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. Based on where I'm seeing you placing the school now, I'm not convinced that it's going to be a better move, a newer building certainly, but not a better move. So I have concerns about that. And the big part of this is I found out about this public hearing 3 hours ago from my neighborhood listserv. So if this is how you disseminate information, I have real concerns about where you're getting your information from. So I really hope you will reconsider on behalf of the businesses that are located near the school and the restaurants that are located near the school, the kids being able to walk off campus and be able to go, the ones that are old enough to do so. I really hope you reconsider, because otherwise I don't understand who this move is supposed to benefit.
Thank you. Brian Calloway, followed by Mary Kopak.
Good afternoon. I'm Brian Calloway. Not a part of Durham for DSA, but I have appreciated seeing their work as a grassroots organization lately. But it's been said a lot recently in town that Durham is dopey. And this board seems to be doing issue after issue their part in maintaining that status. And just from a process lens, what has been happening with this decision, and just as other speakers have just mentioned, including this meeting and a rather, hastily called summer meeting without really adequate. I know you dotted the legal I's and T's there across those, but the community was not participatory in this. I think you are aware of that. Perhaps it was planned that way. One of the we get these presentations from the usual suspects, and this one today showed that there's been one community meeting. We had a former board member arrive in June to speak, give public comment about that, and Madam Chair, you broke board policy and addressed her directly right after her comment, and declared to her, no, there was a community meeting where we showed renderings. Like that's not a community meeting when you come and force feed us and show here's what we're going to do. See, we've got it done. If you continue, we saw this with the classified worker pay cuts that you extended. if you continue to be out of pace with the community, I mean, I would argue we already are, because over the last decade, we've been shedding students from this district. But if you continue to be out of step, and I'm afraid this is one of those issues that you have been out of step, as seen by the rise of grassroots efforts here to say, hey, whoa, can we pump the brakes and talk about this? You know, it's going to make for a wave election in 2026, I believe. You know, we already, you know, notwithstanding the 2 new board members, y'all are excluded from this. So look forward to your votes here coming up. But yeah, we'll be eagerly waiting to see what comes of this. So thank you.
Mia Kopak?
Good afternoon. I'm Mary Janoti Kopak. I'm here because I'm a grandmother. My son happens to have been very involved in this effort. I came because I had planned to cede time to others, because the last meeting held so much information from the side of the DSA community, Save DSA, that we were recruited to come and share time, cede time. However, because there was very little, no notice, we are the ones who are showing up. Believe me, there would have been a lot more. I would like to know, I know that you're not allowed to speak to me, but I would like the board to consider for 5 seconds and then show hands if you have already decided to go ahead with moving to the north. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'd like to know, with a show of hands, have you seriously considered the DSA, this community's proposals, knowing that $50 million would be saved by renovating? This is a fact. It would be saved by renovating. It would go to help support and renew the buildings that our current students are suffering in, because they don't have the necessary facilities already. Are we taking care of these children now? $50 million would go a long way. And that is exactly, we know, it is exactly what would be saved if this area, if this current school was renovated. I'm sorry to have gotten emotional. I didn't plan to. I didn't even plan to speak. But you can see, let's say that this is my first rodeo. When my kids were growing up, I attended a lot of school board meetings, stayed up till midnight listening. And I truly, truly empathize with you. It's a very difficult decision, but you have to know, and I'll end with this. I'd like to quote a philosopher, Soren Kierkegaard. There are 2 ways to be fooled. One is to believe what is not true, and the other is to refuse to believe what is true. Thank you.
Please state your name, any organization you're speaking for on behalf of, and you'll have 3 minutes.
Hello, my name is Lucia, and I am here on behalf of my fellow students at DSA. Thank you for the opportunity to speak. I'm a rising junior at DSA. I'm a student athlete. I'm a student journalist, a student artist. I don't have a speech prepared because I learned about this an hour ago, and I begged my mom to come with me, and so I could hear it. And so I wasn't planning on speaking, but you know, here now. I know our building is crumbling. I go to school in it every day, but it's not just crumbling because it's old. It's because we haven't had the proper stuff done to it. And everything at that school that, the doors, the ramps, the lack of accessibility, everything in the walls, the bathrooms, et cetera, can be fixed, and it can be fixed with a lot less money than building a new school. I've talked to people at my school, and everybody I've talked to is very much wanting to stay in our downtown Durham community. And, I know the community, like, pro positive aspect, firsthand, secondhand. And so I've also, I've done some of my own research. I've looked at documents, numbers, and, I've, heard from other people who have looked through some of your information, and some of this stuff just doesn't make sense to me. And, that could be because, I'm only in high school, but I think it doesn't make sense to a lot of people. Certain numbers that don't add up, certain comparisons that just don't make sense. And I feel like things could just be clearer. And I would really like to see exactly, with good information, how, moving is the better option. So I think everything you want to do and change could be done at the current location. I do not support the move to the new location. Thank you.
Thank you all. Have you signed up with Mr. Staten outside? Could you? Thank you. Okay, I can't read this.
Sorry, I did it on my knee. Melanie, my name is Melanie Middleton. I wasn't planning on speaking as well. I just feel emotionally drawn to say a few words. And I was born here in Durham, North Carolina at Watts Hospital, which is now the beautiful School of Science and Math. My 5 siblings and myself went to Durham High School. My son went to Durham DSA, the Carr Building, which is beautifully renovated as well. And I just feel so disappointed in Durham in this decision of abandoning this historic building and all those things. But I just don't feel like it's what Durham does. I look around and I see all the beautiful tobacco warehouses. Yes, it takes money to do that, but it's worth it. Not only that, it's been shown that it would save money. When I went to Durham High School, the science building was the new building. And by the time I left Durham High School, it was a mess. So my concern is building new buildings, and 10 years from now, they end up looking like some of the many buildings that we already have throughout our school system that are in great need of repair. I taught in the Durham Public Schools for 25 years. I wore down jackets in the summertime and tank tops in the wintertime. I nursed crying children because it was so bloody cold in the classroom. These are silly little things, but when they add up, it's huge. I mean, let's really talk about the needs of all of our schools and all of our children. And it just doesn't feel like something Durham would do. I mean, when I think of Durham, I think of at least build up. And yet here we go, tearing down another forest, acres of land right beside Duke Homestead, no less, on a 2-lane road with ditches on both sides. That community is up in arms. It just doesn't feel like the 21st century. It feels like bad decision making. If anything, implode the science building, which should have been done a long time ago, and build up. I just feel like all of the ideas and the possibilities have not been looked at. And it just breaks my heart that we would turn our backs on this old 100-year-old building. It's historic. So yes, I speak from emotion, but it's a historic building. It's a historic part of our downtown area.
Thank you. Colleagues, the next item on our agenda is closed session. Oh, Ms. Byer.
Yeah, no, I appreciate the speakers that were able to join us, and I wanted to follow up and make clear that that this is, as you all said, on our agenda a week from now. And I would ask if administration can use social media, use our public affairs to get that information out deeper into the community. If that would be possible, I wanted to see if we could do that.
Yes, I mean, additional things, all the things, yes.
Thank you. So that, if no one else has anything else, I would move that we go into closed session for the reasons stated on the agenda.
Second.
Been moved by Ms. Byer, seconded by Ms. Chavez to go into closed session. Is there any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
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 All opposed, say no. We're now in closed session. session. Interim Superintendent Moore.
Good evening, Chair Rogers, board members. I'd like to request approval of the Personnel Action Report dated 8/1/24.
Move approval?
Second.
It's been moved by Ms. Byers, seconded by Ms. Chavez, to approve the personnel report dated 8/1/24. Is there any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say no. The motion carries and the personnel report has been approved. We are adjourned.